Hey there, hi there, ho there, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And welcome to the podcast that's going to make us the most popular people on the internet in the eyes of Disney Dragon. We're just going to win so many friends on the inside of Disney for this podcast and our hot takes here. It's the Frozen 2 Spoilercast.
Ah!
Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Dragon, I can't even with the lyrics of that song. I just imagine a series of hey yas. Okay, Dragon, this is kind of like this is a rare occurrence, man. This is we are both disappointed by this thing. And, it's suffice to say we're both, we both kind of agree that there are strong parts to this movie, for sure. But I think you and I are very much in agreement that this is definitely not as strong as the first one, at least narratively. So just kind of overall, just to reiterate our first impressions here, folks, I think there's a bold film in here somewhere. I think the intentions of this film were good. I respect this film a lot for, trying to push outside the box and not just repeating. Well, I mean, in some ways it repeats the formula again. We'll get there. But we're doing new stuff with this thing. We're expanding the lore. I think the problem with this film is that they maybe kind of bit off too much, more than they can chew. And maybe expanded the lore a little too much. And, Dragon, I'm sorry, but after watching other people review this movie and kind of having similar issues to the plot that I do, I'm sorry, Dragon, I'm going to have to put my foot down here. This movie's plot kind of suffers from the Pirates of the Caribbean sequel curse of kind of making what should be a pretty straightforward plot overly complicated with, different rules and reasons for this and this happening. And I don't know, man. And not to mention, there's just this whole underlying, the more and more I think about it, there's an underlying kind of like Last Airbender quality to this thing that doesn't really sit well with me either. So I got to tell you, Dragon, with this movie, the more I think about it, the less I like it, with a few obvious highlights here and there that we'll get to.
So I know, when you say Last Airbender, you mean the animated one, not the Shyamalan.
Yes, Dragon, I mean the animated one. Yes, for God's sake.
Well, I have to make sure.
Why do you have to make sure with that? I haven't even seen the Shyamalan version.
Have you even seen the animated one?
I got about halfway through book one. It's good. It's just kind of like not my thing. I don't know.
Typical. All right.
I'm sorry. I like what I like, Dragon. I respect it. I don't know.
Pie approach to life. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Challenging right out the gate. So, Dragon, I imagine your take's not quite as hot as mine, but I mean, you did say on air, just kind of quoting you for the record here, you did say on air last night that this is definitely not as good as the first one. So, care to elaborate?
Well, yes, I still, honestly, given some time to do it, I still stand by that, but I've had some time to reflect on base. I think I have a better scope of what the movie was trying to do, given a little bit of time, given a little bit of distance. And basically, I think I nailed down what it is a little bit more. Anyway, so just a recap and just kind of like my little thesis here. So Frozen 2, I feel is, it's a good continuation, but kind of in its own shadow. It's a solid continuation, but within its own shadow of like the success of the first one, I think it shows a lot. This was a little overly ambitious at times when we could have really played it simple. I don't mean like play it safe, but I mean we could have played it simple and more straightforward, like the first movie in certain regards, And I feel the risk of that is we really risk convoluting a story, trying to be bigger and better. And of course there's some combinations that basically we're trying to let's go bigger and better with it, and in doing so we've convoluted a number of things, and I think that really hurts this. And to kind of echo what you're saying, and that's the thing, the plot of this movie is kind of the problem area to me. It's basically, I think the story we're telling is we're I feel if the story were stronger, I feel the movie would be better. But again, I don't want to just curse the darkness here, folks. I want to say the movie does deliver on fun and spectacle in spades. It does. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of spectacle. There's gobs and gobs of spectacle. There's spectacle for days here. There's false spectacle galore. It just went a little more in the Moana direction than I'd hoped. If I'm to frame it like that, it really, it kind of went in the direction of it's like this looks great story wise. That is not what I would have hoped for. But I do want to reemphasize though. So no one's it's kind of underreported. Again, we are in uncharted territory here. It's like the thing of all the theatrical sequels we've ever had for a Disney princess movie. Answer: nada. This is let me put it this way: at the end of the day, it's solid, not superior, as the hype would have you believe. As some of the positive hype would have you believe, better than the first. Not the case at all. I can definitively
I'm kind
say
of learning that literally that sort of like hyperbolic, like critical stuff is in front of every movie. Like I heard people calling Edward Norton's Motherless Brooklyn a masterpiece. So, Dragon, also, I want to kind of like, of course, we'll get to it when we get to his character in the conversation, but I think the thing that really kind of divides you and I, like, we're in agreement in a lot of stuff here, but to me, in addition to the story, which is a big problem area in this movie for sure, I got to tell you, man, he had a few standout moments to be sure, including one scene that everyone's talking about that I'm not going to argue is pretty great, but man, I was not vibing with Olaf for like a majority of this movie.
I think the kids are gonna throw rocks at you, Tiki. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Screw the kids. They ruined my theater experience, all right? This theater experience should be for a 30-year-old man, not for toddlers.
Attack the non-believer! Get him!
God damn it, I can watch princess movies too.
Attack him like Sinbad!
God. Anyways. So yeah, that'll be a fun conversation to have when we get to Olaf. Like I said, he has the standout moments to be sure, but
that Snowman taught us the meaning of holidays, man, and you're spitting on the gospel there, man. That ain't nice.
Yeah, well, you know what? Just be glad that I'm one of the few people who actually appreciates that Christmas special for what it is and isn't just like, oh, it's in front of Coco, so it's automatically awful in spite of its own merits. So just be happy you have a defender in me in that one, buddy. All right. Okay, so
like Iron Fist.
What?
Of the defender that you are, you're probably Iron Fist on that spectrum.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
Wow. Okay. All right, where are we starting here, Dragon?
Well, the plot.
All right. Oh boy. So here we go. Let's just dive right into it. Oh man, Dragon, I don't know. It's interesting because in some ways I feel like this definitely adds a lot to the mythos of Frozen, but I feel like there's a couple problem areas to me right off the bat. I mean, we already mentioned the first one of, we already mentioned a couple basically. Like I don't know how strongly you feel about the last Airbender thing, but I don't know. To me, it's just kind of like the earth, wind, fire, water. It's just kind of like, all right, I've kind of seen this concept. Not necessarily, it's new for the Frozen universe to be sure, but it's not new in general. And also, Dragon, I feel like it kind of treads old territory. I was thinking about this more and more. I was kind of glowing on the songs when I first. Well, you know what? We'll get to the songs, but I just in terms of the way that the songs are structured into the plot, Dragon, it's basically a copy and paste of the first movie in a lot of ways. I'm not going to say they're any better or worse than the songs in the first movie. I don't think any of the songs in this movie are as good as Let It Go. I don't think any of the songs in this movie are as bad as Fixer Upper, except maybe the Olaf song, which we'll get to.
Everyone's really in consensus with Fixer Upper being like kind of the low point of Frozen. I just want to.
Dude, Fixer Upper is the guy like you of Frozen. I mean, what do you want to say?
Man, I really like a guy like you.
Oh, you try finding other people on the internet who agree with you on that.
I know. I'm aware. I'm aware. See, if they didn't interact with anyone, that scene would be fine. Anyway.
Oh God. Anyways.
Anyway,
Okay, but
plot. Well, here's the thing. Speaking of the first one, so to me, the charm of the first one was, and correct me if I'm wrong, you had a different kind of take on it here, but I always felt the charm of the first film was simple plot with kind of character complexities and kind of this meta undercurrent, kind of this undercurrent of kind of sorry, let me rephrase it, a meta undercurrent kind of ushering us into kind of this more self-aware era of the Disney film. That's kind of what I felt kind of Frozen 1 was kind of like when it was firing all cylinders. It was kind of like tackling those elements within the movie, like stuff you didn't see in every Disney movie. We're kind of slowly getting to it, stuff like Tangled and basically like, but Prince of Frogs it's kind of like a return. Like, hey, we're kind of Disney's back. All right, let's open the doors again. And Tangled's okay, we're actually doing something with it. And by the time we get to Frozen, after of course Wreck-It Ralph is like, okay, let's go next level with it. And we get to Frozen. It's like, okay, hey, wow, look at this. We're commenting on what's come before, and we're kind of blazing some new trail. That's awesome. Of course,
I mean, I think that is kind of one of the things that Frozen that made Frozen popular, but to me, the appeal of Frozen was what you hit at the beginning. It wasn't so much the meta commentary. That, to me, I'm not as big of a fan. I don't necessarily think the meta commentary ages that film very well. I think it's the most dated part of that movie.
Well, I'm saying it's another element of what kind of made it pop out. But again, the character.
But what I'm saying is that I think what really you hit it right on the head. It was the simple story mixed with the complicated characters. That was a really good ingredient. That was a really good mixture for the first movie. Which is stuff
you rarely saw in the Disney movies. That was what was kind of refreshing about it, where you had we take the story we've seen before or something like we've seen before.
Right. So for this dragon, I feel like it kind of flips it. It's a complicated it's a complicated story, but with characters who are almost sort of like, with the exception of Anna and Elsa, but certainly the side characters are pretty much just caricatures of their old selves. I mean, I don't know.
Well, real quick, I do want to highlight something else here. I love that there's definitely a solid deep dive into the whole Norwegian kind of folklore of it all here. It's a very Nordic movie with all kind of like with kind of our spirits and our visuals, and of course that's something that kind of Frozen it opens the door on it. Kind of your kind of pavilion-y kind of side of Frozen, if you will.
The schoolbred guy approves.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that's something this movie's definitely playing with.
It captures more parts of my culture with the schoolbred. Dragon, all we need in Frozen 3 is just a big scene where Anna and Elsa are just geeking out over schoolbread.
I just like to think that Oaken has a brother, and his brother runs like a bakery, and that's
his brother just is the cast member that I interacted with.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we got a glimpse at Oaken's family. We don't know who any of those people are in relation to him.
This movie needed a lot more Oaken. And by a lot more Oaken, I'm saying we needed to see him speak at least once, which we didn't.
Well, we needed actual Oaken to speak at least once. That's the
right.
Anywho.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, like, in comment to your story point, is that it's the fact that in terms of the complexities, okay, like what can we do in Frozen now? We've done the Snow Queen tale of it all. We've done the Snow Queen tale. We kind of set up our set things up, and of course with something like Olaf's Frozen Adventure, he went into kind of a cultural thing, and that's kind of even with like the Frozen ride. That's something that kind of Frozen has in its corner. Like no one underreports Norway at all, man. Let's dive a little deep into that. That's definitely what they did here. My biggest problem with the movie, though, is, well, that's a good starting place. Unfortunately, this is where all the convoluted stuff comes into, where we're lumping our established story into like deeper dive into the Nordic culture.
Oh yeah.
Or again, these are two things that do work. Unfortunately, if I'm just to kind of simplify it here, I feel the persistent problem I have with the movie, and this is something that, you know me, Tiki. To me, it's a big red flag if I'm having a problem while I'm watching the movie.
Dragon, that's what I'm saying. Like, you and I are like, I'm usually and I'm not calling you cynical. I'm just saying, like, I'm usually the guy in that position, and you're usually the guy who's like, trying to be optimistic about the movie until you can't possibly be anymore to a certain extent, So yeah, you're right. With a movie as big as Frozen 2, and I know that you are a big fan of the original Frozen. Like, yeah, it is a worrying sign if you're sitting in the theater thinking about the problems, for sure.
And the problems specifically were like these. I want to make clear these problems weren't big, but they were persistent in that like they just kept popping up. And these are things. Basically, the issues in the movies were like these like little gaps in logic that were again small but persistent, and they kind of jumped out at you. Like I'm sure if you're a kid watching this, and I feel the sequel in many ways is it's kind of more tailored towards kids in that we're not covering our story basis. We're not like putting all the complexities the character complexities that we had in the first one. In this case, we're trying to go. It's like we're trying to play to adults with like a more convoluted story. Like, people are going to be able to follow this. Like for the older fans, and the kids are going to love the comedy. I feel like kind of should have reversed it almost.
Okay, you know what? I think at the heart of it, I heard one reviewer, I forget who it was, but they really hit it on the head where really structurally this film is no different than something like Abominable, where, and I know that it's harsh to say that, Dragon, but it's like Abominable and this movie like have a very similar structure to it where it's like, okay, we're just going on a journey. It's just a very traditional animated journey movie. It's a journey movie that gets sucked up in a really complex plot, but it's still kind of just okay, we're just going to go out into the unknown. And I don't know. And I feel like with that, they just kind of ran out of gas. It's like instead of exploring the complexities of the characters, it's just a road movie.
It's like I feel like basically kids will watch this and they won't care about the plot, but I feel like they wouldn't get it, but it doesn't matter because they're having a great time while they're on the journey. So I can't really take a point fully away from that, but I can just look at it as like it's not for everyone. It's not like the way the first one was, where everyone can like it's kind of a dance everybody can beat to. They can go like, okay, here's somebody you don't see this every day in a movie with these characters. Like, this whole sisterly bond. They're having issues. She has like a big burden on her shoulders. They have some fun jokes, some jokes with Olaf. The kids just going, oh look, it's a funny snowman. And they'll say, oh man, this is really clever comedy with the snowman here. Oh, how fun!
I just want to quickly point out that Lilo and Stitch did the sisterly bond first, and they arguably did it better.
Okay, look, they did it first, and they also did it well. All right, they also did it well.
Arguably better.
Fine, they did it
more emotionally resonant.
They did it very well. Are you happy now?
All right. I'll take the very.
Hey, they did it very well. I'm not saying anyway. Okay, my point is, so here's like the things that kind of persistently bothered me. Okay, big one, because we're gonna jump again. We're talking about the plots, so we might as well just kind of jump in through a few things here. Of course, Spoilercast. People have seen the movie; they know what's going on. They're a smart audience. Why bother freezing Elsa? That really bothered me.
That was dumb. That
felt to me because one of my favorite moments in Frozen. I go gaga for that moment where Anna, the act of true love where Anna freezes her. Basically,
Dragon, you hit it right over the head. The reason why we freeze Elsa is because we wanted to repeat the magic, man. It's repeating the magic without any of the substance. We just wanted the imagery.
And again, first movie. I don't mean just keep going back to the old record. Like, hey, in the first movie. No, but seriously, it's the fact of that, again, very streamlined, very simple. Okay, she gets frozen, gets a little ice blast to the heart. She's progressively getting frozen. She's got a ticking clock here. Last act, saves her sister, gets frozen, big dramatic moment, where everything's coming from. This movie, Elsa, after big revelation, randomly gets frozen and maybe dies. How would she even get frozen if that's her whole gimmick? I don't know. It's you see
that's
the problem.
Very good point. I didn't even think of, man. That's
what I'm thinking. Like she wanders into the thing. I think they vaguely. Here's the thing. Like there's vaguely maybe a song lyric way during the start of the movie about "Don't venture in too far," which I've forgotten about by then. That's a maybe. Which I've re-listened to the song. I still don't see that.
Man.
My point is, it's just the cash. Probably one of my favorite moments in the first movie. It's just like I love it when everything slows down. Like, oh God, Anna, what's happening here? Where it's like, plus okay, we can't just kill her off. And it'd be ridiculous if we killed her off like this. Even if we did kill her off, in fact, she froze.
What would you think about that if they did kill her off?
No, killing her
If
off's
they
one thing.
actually had the balls to do that, would you respect that move?
No, here's the thing. I would respect it, but then the way they did it, just freezing her, I would have had matrix with she gets frozen.
Fair enough, fair enough. But I would
That's how you
still.
kill her.
I mean, I would be in the same boat, but I would respect the tenacity of it, Dragon.
I respect it. I would ask that they do it a little better.
Okay, you know what's funny? You know what's funny is that when spoilers here, folks. When Olaf gets Thanos straight up, I was just thinking to myself, like, oh man, I'm gonna have so much respect for this movie if Olaf just stays dead, or if they just rebuild him and he doesn't come alive or something. But I know that's not going to happen. I'm watching a goddamn Disney movie here. It's one of the longer implied deaths where the character's been dead for a while. But yeah, it's just kind of like, of course, they didn't have the balls to pull a Ray with Olaf.
I did. I did appreciate kind of like the dusting. Look, I appreciate like the whole. If we're gonna basically doing it very, very. Very Infinity War-esque. I did think that was quite funny, but I mean, not. And basically, it was like,
what my reaction to that scene was.
I don't feel so good, Anna. No,
my reaction to that scene was like, "Oh, good. We're not going to have to deal with Olaf for a good part of the third act." All right,
man, that's low. That's just you.
I'm sorry, man. Like I said, Olaf has a couple good moments, but
he taught us about the holidays, man.
He was. Like he's the first animated character to ever do that.
No, he taught us. Anyway, he taught the new kids on the block about the anyway. Doesn't matter. Or else. Anyway, well, here's some other things here. Is like I think a big problem with it, because again, I like how we're getting to the Nordic culture and everything. That's really neat. However, problem movie. Tell me if you had this. I don't really get the import. At the end of the day, I still don't really get the importance of the. Basically the North, Northuldra and the Arendelle rivalry, like that whole like the division of culture. I mean, it takes time to process. The only thing I really take away from it is the idea that one of them rejected magic, and that's what split the two of them apart. It seems. But at the end of the day, I don't know anything about these people, so I really can't invest in like.
I'm on the same page. I thought that the whole thing with the Northuldra, I don't know. It was kind of like a concept where I feel like with the right development, it could have been interesting. But the thing with this movie is that I feel like all the interesting plot stuff did feel rushed, and it's kind of what I'm saying, Dragon. If we could have cut out like half the Olaf bits in this movie, still had plenty of Olaf, and focused more on the lore. I don't know, but
my point is, I feel that it's like I respect again what they're going for. They're going for like a magic versus non-magic thing, which is kind of what we had in the other movie. However, again, I think they kind of painted themselves into a corner where, okay, we have somewhat built in this whole magic non-magic story, but again, if we really delve into it, we kind of already explored the whole like Elsa feeling rejected because of the magic in the first movie, so it could be a retread, which we don't want. But at the same time, we kind of have these guys here, and again, that's kind of an interesting connect they have. And at the end of the day, it's kind of what our story's about, but we're just kind of we don't want to tell a story. We don't have time to tell a story or something. Whereas points like we're kind of in the middle of two stories here that neither of which are fully come together. Which again, if the whole movie starts with these two people fighting each other, these two groups warring each other. And again, they kind of create the whole mess. It's kind of important, and it kind of hurts the story if we really don't get to know these people or really don't like. It's like, well, don't worry, we're going to lift the curse for you guys. Like, why do we care? I mean, the only thing
we're gonna lift the curse and kind of destroy our kingdom in the process.
Because if Arendelle wasn't in,
you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk? Can we talk about that?
Well, I was going to get to. Yeah, go on.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was just like that was the big kind of jaw dropping thing for me.
Well, I was literally building to that, but yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, anyway, so of course Arendelle was in peril, which kind of motivated all that. But speaking of Arendelle in peril,
man, okay, you know what? I kind of feel like we should save some of this for Anna's character, but
no, I was going to bring it up.
Yeah, man, it's just like I just can't believe. Yeah. I mean, Dragon, you're right on the money here. If the motivation made sense, if I was like into it, if I was more invested in saving these people, then sure, the whole message of like, okay, we have to flood the old thing to rebuild something new, that would be resonant with me. But as it plays now, Dragon, it like, to me, it just kind of felt like a really shocking, just kind of like, oh man, they're really taking this this bubbly and light character down a dark path here with this action that she's taking.
Now,
I don't know.
Let me tell you this. So when I'm watching this, I taking the story as it came, where basically we find out that Anna and Elsa's grandfather, the previous king, he was a really bad guy. He was going to basically betray these guys, and essentially he killed the leader, which was not cool. And based on that, again, I'm obviously conflicted here, but again, I'm kind of in the Ragnarok kind of boat here, where we kind of have to destroy the old land here. Again, they had it coming. We did some bad stuff. We didn't go the full Ragnarok though, where I was kind of in favor of. Anna, again, she did something. I'm not bugged with what Anna did. I'm more bugged with the fact of like we didn't go. It was a half measure. We didn't go the full measure with it. Where again, Arendelle has some bad
literally
stuff
reversing Anna's big heroic thing is what saves the day and wraps up the movie. Like what?
That's what I think. It doesn't read to me as dark because again, it was kind of just. But it's the fact of here's the problem. Okay, here's what I found. Now I have some time to noodle. Here's the problem. The problem is Anna's making a big assumption. Like it's not spelled out what she needs to do. And again, here's the thing: we don't know if like what she does unthought. I'm assuming logically here. Bear in mind logic in the loose sense here. I'm assuming that Elsa in her last moment she finds out what's going on here. She learns about what the king did and everything. She sends a little message. Anna interprets this message. Okay. Grandpa, not a good guy. He's responsible for the dam. Got to take out the dam, which is going to take out Arendelle. Thankfully, Arendelle evacuated, so no harm, no foul. Going to be homeless for a while, but it worked out for How to Train Your Dragon 3. We'll be fine. And essentially, again, she's taking a leap there, and just by sheer luck, it's like, okay, so I assume in taking out the dam, Elsa's unthawed, so she's fine, which again shouldn't be thawed in the first place, but let's just go with it, because, disco. So basically she then completely undoes it. She's completely okay. I'm gonna save her. Basically rewarding her. Hey, you made the leap. Yeah, you did the right thing. Therefore, hey, you don't have to lose your hometown. Which I guess is. Honestly, what I think is it's Disney being. We can't destroy the castle. It's like we've never. Look, guys, we're gonna be all. We
got to get those juicy. Like no one's gonna want to go to Arendelle when Arendelle was destroyed.
That's what I'm saying. I feel
we got to get that sweet theme park money, man.
And it really smelled like that in the theater, and I hate it when it smells like that in the theater. Like, oh yeah, they didn't have the guts to pull that off.
There's literally no consequences for anything in this plot.
And I honestly think if I hadn't seen it done, and so I don't mean just draw a comparison to another movie here, but if I didn't see it done better in like a How to Train Your Dragon 3, where we lost the homeland, but everyone was fine with it.
Yeah, totally.
Or again in a Ragnarok, where again we lost the homeland, but that was part of
with How to Train Your Dragon, though, I feel like that. Of course, there was like a whole trilogy's worth of story leading to that moment. Whereas with this, I feel like it was just like a split second. Like Anna's just kind of has an epiphany. It's like, okay, Arendelle's got to go.
Yeah, it's tough. Again, I don't think it's on Anna, but I think it's definitely on
Chris Stuckman, when he reviewed this movie, he did kind of like put it in the air that a character makes a really big decision that he just is not down for at all. And so I got to tell you, Dragon, that big decision was kind of like looming over my head like the whole movie. I was like, oh God, I wonder what rallied Chris up so much. And when it got there, my mouth was just hung open, and I was just as shocked by it as I'm sure he was.
Let's see. Well, basically, again, that's the part of the best example in the movie of something where, again, we don't know all the rules about. This is where we get into the convoluted logic, where we don't know all the ins and outs of how the rules.
There's
work
no rules. There's no rules. That's the problem. We don't know the rules because there's no established set of rules. They're just making ice powers and shit up as they go along at this point, and it's very evident.
Yeah, that's the thing. It really hurts the plot. It hurts the story.
Ice powers in general, I just feel like we're way over. Like, I don't know, man. There's a limit to like what you can do with that power.
I think we're going to differ on that point. Let's save it for the animation, though. But
Okay, I mean, I don't have a problem with any of the stuff like the freezing the wave or anything like that. Any of the tangible physical stuff. What I have a problem with is how the ice powers were used to, like, you know, oh, the shades of the past are coming back as ice sculptures, and like I'm just like, what are we doing here? How is this happening now? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in that one.
Okay.
Okay, so sorry, just one sec. Okay, parent shipwreck. We should probably talk about that.
Yeah, the spirit that's following Elsa around, it's like, did you ever think that it was anything else other than the mother?
Well, you know what the weird thing is, Tiki? I swear, and again, I think this is another thing where it's just not clear, and it bugs me. Here's the thing. My friend kind of blew my mind after I watched the movie, because I was asking him about this, and he made a point that I couldn't really refute, so I assume this is the case, because I have nothing else to judge it by. So Gale, kind of our air spirit, if you will, that's not the mom.
It's
presumably, if I'm reading my things here right, okay. And again, I could be absolutely wrong, because there's no flow chart for this movie, unfortunately. Thing is, you saw the girl, and remember the girl in the flashback, who essentially, the girl we saw in the trailer and everything, who essentially we reveal is, I missed yet another thing, is Alan Elsa's mother, right?
Yes. Oh God.
Well,
Why
by the
is
way,
this movie
nothing.
fucking Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald?
By the way,
complicated.
I could be crazy here. It doesn't look a thing like, if that's the same girl, it does not look at all like Anna Elsa's mother. But that's just, I don't know. Regardless, my point is, the fact is, like, the idea she's being played with by the wind in those shots. Therefore, she's by the air in those shots. Therefore, she's not like, she isn't the one. She's not an airbender, essentially. If I'm going to use the Avatar comparison, she's not an airbender. It's just the air, like, playing with her, because the air, like, just moves around, plays with everybody in the movie. That's what my friend kind of pointed out to me, and I assume that's the case. And it's all I got, really. And the fact we named it Gale.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think the movie just, like I said, I think it's just a case of the movie just not holding up to its own logic. I don't know.
I mean, all we know is that whatever basically the big space, Otto Holland, basically the big island she goes to all the secrets, and it's calling to her in her mother's voice. That's all we know. That's like the whole, that's her mother calling her. But again, it's basically that's as far as it goes.
Well, look, we're already going a long time on this. I don't want to debate this, but anyways.
The point being, well, I think we can agree it's not clear, right?
Yeah.
Anywho,
we can definitely agree on that.
All right. Anyway, what I'm getting is, like, I basically, I think that's what they're trying to say is, like, Elsa's pursuing the breadcrumbs from finding the parent shipwreck. That's the point, and that shipwreck leads her to that place. That's the main purpose of that. It's just again, there's a story there, but we're not quite following that, and it just feels like, hey, it's the shipwreck, man. Let's cover that. Let's talk about, yeah. So again, the story is just kind of burdened a little bit by spectacle over the substance, and it's not that easy to follow, which is kind of a problem. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about some character stuff. Let's talk about Elsa.
All right, so yeah, with Elsa, you know, we get that kind of continuation where she doesn't want to go on any adventures until she is just called to go on an adventure, and it's, gotta tell you, Dragon, it's not the most deep stuff in the world with Elsa. I think in terms of, like, what Elsa, the adventure that Elsa goes on, like the animation and everything, it's pretty great. But it just feels like kind of like a plugged in sort of plot for her to go on, the whole, like, following the spirit and, you know, the reluctant adventure and everything. Yeah, I've seen this, like I said, Dragon, I literally saw this exact same plot in Abominable like 2 months ago.
You know what's funny with Elsa? Over time, because, as you know, I'm a huge Anna fan. When Frozen came out, I was. Love that character, and I gotta tell you, I like both the sisters, but Anna was always the one kind of capture my eye a little bit more in that story. And I gotta tell you, over time, especially the more shorts and everything that we've gotten, again, Elsa really grows on me over time. And I think at the end of the day, it really is. I kind of live for these little character moments with her, where she's allowed to embrace the life that she was denied herself all those years ago, with kind of the sisters divided by a door stuff that we did in Frozen. And we got stuff in here that I really wanted to see. I like the little bits we had in Act One. I love her being. I love like character bits. Like Elsa's terrible at charades. I think that's priceless. It's everything. Honestly, that's kind of like those are the things I really wanted to see in a Frozen 2. It's like the stuff that like her doing these mundane things. She's not good at. She's getting used to things.
Yeah.
Like stuff like she's. I love it when she gets surprised by like her little like her royal kind of announcer guy. He says, "Oh, your Highness," and like she gets spooked, so she kind of freezes the terrace. So these are the character bits that I really wanted to see, and I love that we kind of got to see some of that. And I think I like what we're doing with her. Unfortunately, the story doesn't really support what they're trying to say with her. Now, my read on it was that she's following this call that kind of awakens this curiosity of what am I? Basically, it's kind of the age of like, I'm missing something within myself. Where do these powers come from? I'm comfortable with my powers. Where do they come from? That's the story. That's at least what the story's supposed to be. Now, unfortunately, you absolutely have to read into it. Again, like you don't know if there's like this. Essentially, there's like I can only assume there's like a divide within herself. There's this divide within herself of like that she's still not acclimating to kind of like being the queen, this responsibility and everything, and she's kind of leading kind of the name of her parents and everything. This being queen's responsibility, and also just kind of like she's not good at charade. She's not good at like kind of commingling and just kind of like getting back into the swing of things, like living the life that she kind of missed out on. Like something's not clicking with her, which kind of leads to her like needing these answers, which leads to the journey and the adventure and like following that voice that is calling to her. And at the end of the day, she ends up being a bridge, being the avatar, if you will. It's literally, I mean, look. I love Avatar: Last Airbender, so it doesn't bug me that it's kind of Avatar-esque, but I mean, yeah, she's pretty much Avatar. Like, literally, she's the bridge. They call her a bridge, and Avatar: Last Airbender is hold the bridge between the spirit world and the actual world. If you had watched it, you might have gotten further into that, but you follow my point.
Okay, does it bother you at all that after all this, this self-growth and everything, and I know you just made the point of, like, that's where she ultimately ends up, is the bridge, but does it bother you at all that she basically abandons Arendelle?
Well, I mean, she knows it's in good hands, and this is what I'm talking about. This is the thing where she's always just not been
it's kind of
good.
like almost swinging like too much in the opposite direction of like, okay, like, I don't know. It just kind of bothers me that we didn't really see any sort of payoff for like her, trying to slowly acclimate to Arendellian culture.
At the end of the day, I feel that it's like the bridge is a symbol for balance. Like she found balance, she found a freedom from the responsibilities that stressed her out in the first place. With her powers going haywire and everything, and basically like you don't have to live down the legacy because now you know where your real legacy comes from. You were kind of like you were making up for. Basically, she's doing right by her kind of royal heritage by kind of undoing the bad stuff that her family lineage did in being the bridge. That's kind of where I'm at on it, I guess. I think she's doing right by her, but also in the kingdom she knows is in good hands. I think it kind of balances out at the end of the day. Like she's kind of going over the she's kind of making up for the bad stuff her family did, while Anna's kind of paving the future for the good stuff her family's going to do. Therefore, they're both still kind of like co-ruling in a way.
All right. Pink Pearl's here. She says, "Is it any good?" Pink Pearl, there's definitely good elements to this movie, to be sure, mostly in the animation department. But Dragon and I both have serious issues with it, and that's kind of what we're hashing out here.
Good, not great, Pink Pearl. It's kind of the best way I can put it for it. It's good, not great. I'd recommend seeing it. I wouldn't say go for a rewatch, but I would say see it.
All right. Anything else about Elsa?
No. Again, I
will say
little characters.
Power ballads with Elsa. I mean, we'll talk about them individually when we get to the songs, but the second power ballad felt really forced to me, and it felt like okay, we gotta like with Let It Go, the outfit change was like totally symbolic and powerful. There's a reason why that is like one of the most reposted gifts of the 2010s. That outfit change and Let It Go is just because like symbolically within the story it means a lot. Within the story of this, the outfit change is basically just like sell toys. Your daughter needs a new dress.
Well,
I don't know.
I will say, since you brought up Let It Go, again, the thing I like is like that we're kind of delving a little further into the Let It Go. I like how she's exploring the comfort that she felt in that initial Let It Go, and I think that's kind of what they're trying to go for. Again, I want to make it clear, I don't think they're fully doing what they should with this. And again, a lot of this, unfortunately, I think you have to read into. I don't think enough of it's explicit. I think there's just I think the kernel of the idea is there. I think the payoffs there. I think we're missing some stuff in between.
Uh-huh.
All
right. So Anna, yeah, we already addressed kind of like the big thing with her, but I mean, overall, I do think that she's definitely had some growth since the first movie, but I don't know. I didn't really feel, honestly, with her for the most of the movie, I didn't really feel one way or another towards her. I do feel like her being overly attached to Elsa was maybe played up a little bit too much, like to the point where it got annoying after a while.
I don't know. I didn't quite feel that way about it. I felt basically with Anna in this movie,
Maybe not annoying, but at least overbearing, and that's the point. Is that she is being overbearing? But I mean, I guess I kind of just like maybe got the message a little too strongly in that regard.
Well, I kind of really like this. I like that she. To me, it's kind of like she's confronting a shift in status quo here. She's basically her main driving motivation for this whole movie, her whole story here, is that she wants to avoid a repeat of the first movie, which is kind of funny when you think about it. Like, no, don't go off on your own again. Don't do that. We already did.
Okay, but to me, I'm kind of on Elsa's side, where it's like Elsa has just these godlike powers, and Anna is, like. I mean, she's great, but, she did, like, go on that adventure, but, she doesn't have godlike powers. Henceforth, I don't know, I feel like, I do like the whole what is it? The whole, like, don't follow me into fire. If you don't want me to follow you into fire, then don't go into fire. That was a good line.
Yeah.
I just think I just think it was brought up a little bit too much.
Well, the thing about this, though, in the beginning, as you're saying, like she's very. There's a lot of insecurity, a lot of worry over her sister, and I feel the arc of the movie, though, she after she loses, essentially for a moment, she loses everything, and kind of that sense of status quo, and then the grand sense, like all that. Once all that fades away, she kind of finds an inner strength, which kind of, she basically kind of, in a sense, she kind of goes on what the arc that Elsa did in the first movie, and kind of a condensed version of it, and she, that kind of leads her to essentially kind of going on a path that ends up with her being queen. And she found kind of, she does have some self-reliance in a crisis, presumably. Again, presumably, we don't know the rules of it all. She kind of, I think she saved the day. I'm not sure. I think she did.
Yeah, that really bothers me. That really bothers me that I don't know exactly how the day got saved.
Well, I'm getting is,
she plot thing.
She demonstrates leadership potential, which again, kind of, I buy that she becomes queen. I think it's kind of a win for her. I thought it was nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Pink Pearl saying, so it's no Coco. No, definitely not a Coco.
God, Pink no. Pearl. No, I'm afraid not. It's no Coco. You'll want the marigolds, not the leaves on this one.
Yeah, it's a Cars 3. Dragon, I hate to say it, but I think this is maybe a step below Cars 3.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't know, man. Cars 3, like, the storyline of Cars 3 is a lot more clean. It wraps up the trilogy pretty well.
Okay, let me ask you this. Better than Moana or not?
No, it's not better than Moana.
Okay, better than Wreck-It Ralph 2?
No.
Okay, it's where honestly, I'm less for the Pixar comparison, more for like where it ranks in the tomes of the Disney films of late.
Okay, I mean, let's see here, man. Like, because that's an interesting question here. In the tomes of like 2010s Disney, let's say 2010s Disney.
Yeah, sure. So like Tangled onward for simplicity's sake.
Okay, it's not as good as Tangled. It's not as good as the original Frozen. It's not as good as Wreck-It Ralph. I would say maybe I like it a little bit better than Big Hero 6.
Well, here's the thing. Again, I really love the characters of Frozen, so that's kind of the advantage that it has over nothing. Not that I dislike the characters of Big Hero 6, but it has the bases low in that regard, so that might carry it over Big Hero 6. Personally, I don't know. I think I would go back to this before I'd go back to Moana personally. So I'm not saying it's better than. I can't say it's better than Moana, but I personally like it better.
Man, I just think the storyline in Moana is a lot more clean than it is in this, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, but I think this might be more fun, though.
Yeah, I would say it's on a similar level to Moana. With that being said, I feel like I feel like the internet in general loves Moana a lot more than we do, Dragon.
Yeah.
I feel like that is kind of like a new classic, and we're kind of not on the same page with that.
Yeah,
so I want to keep that in mind. Like,
we're just the old guys in the balcony on that one.
I'm kind of keeping like cultural impact in mind here. It's definitely not as good as Zootopia.
No.
I mean, what other Disney movies have there been? It's kind of towards the bottom of the barrel, I hate to say.
Again, look, I think we're skirting around here, but I'd put it over Moana personally. I mean, that's the thing. Moana's not towards the top of the list, though.
But Dragon, the reason why I hesitate on that is that I feel like no one else is going to agree with you on that.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, anyway, let's get off of the whole compare contrast. Well, let's talk about the snowman.
Snowman. Oh man. Okay. Well, first of all, even his big scene, I'm sure, is kind of like it felt like a cut and paste of Louise.
Come on.
What do you want from me? It's literally the exact same structure of a joke. It's like, okay, let's recap the events of the first movie or the events of something in a really humorous way. It's like,
okay. But here's the thing, though. I mean, the way in which we do that. Okay, it's a different style in which we do that. But I'm saying that here's the kicker. So one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie is probably going to be Olaf's recap of Frozen. And what, as funny as Olaf's just in doing that recap is, what cracks me up is Sterling K. Brown's character is
that is the best part of that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That whole sequence to me is just basically our guys just kind of drop out of nowhere, like, oh god, like, who? All these characters are kind of meeting each other, are all like, on their guard, like, what is going on? Olaf just breaks the tension and he basically fills everyone in, and Sterling K. Brown, the illustrious Sterling K. Brown, emotionally being wrapped up in the story of Frozen, and every twist and turn, and Hans and everything. And I think that's perfect. That's my favorite part of the movie. I just love that section. It's great.
Pink Pearl, I would go see it. I would go see it. It's got enough spectacle to it where it's worth seeing on the big screen, if just for the animation alone.
Yeah.
With Olaf, I felt like this is one of the big things that really fell flat in the movie for me. First of all, positive thing with Olaf, I actually really, really like the whole like water has memory thing. That was a really clever idea.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite thing with Olaf in this movie. But my least favorite thing with Olaf in this movie, and something that was just kind of cringy for me, was they went really hard with the whole like, oh, now, when I'm older. And I just it was just not even in the same ballpark as being as emotionally resonant as the In Summer thing.
So that's Olaf's preoccupation in this movie is this time around. It's a little out there. I think I think the logic behind that was, as again, I kind of told I had the positive version of Tiki's theater experience. Like, so kids were a factor in my theater experience, but mine was they were all loving the snowman, man. They dug him, and it's like it's almost like you watch it with a laugh track live. That's kind of what it was. That's what I'm saying. I had the laugh track experience. He had the whole screaming, like, I want to throw myself out of windows.
Okay, just to for anyone who hasn't watched our first reactions podcast, just to retell this story. And again, this is totally on the parent and not on the kid in this situation, but there was a screaming child. We're talking just like tears, just like, I don't want to imitate a baby crying, but this kid, it wasn't more than like 2 years old. Father takes her out of the theater and then literally walks back in, like, I swear to God, no more than like 2 minutes later.
He was that's it, I'm out.
I literally moved to the first row because I could not be around this kid, and because it's reserved seating, I couldn't just go anywhere. I needed to go where I knew there wasn't going to be someone, I was taking up a seat of. So that really sucked, man. But I don't know. Again, it's just kind of like, God, And of course, when they came back in, it wasn't like the kid was more quiet. They were doing the exact same thing, and I'm like, this parent is just not going to learn anything, anyways.
Anyway, so what I'm getting is I feel given that audience reaction, it kind of became apparent to me that, you know what, I think a big reason we're having this whole older thing is twofold. One is to acknowledge that, and I kind of mentioned this a little bit in like some of the interview stuff getting ready for the movie, which I also watched a little bit of, where basically, you know, it's been a few years since Frozen. Of course, the kids went crazy for Frozen. Those kids have probably grown up since 2013. So I think the whole changing of the whole, obviously fall is kind of our main season. Your fall is the season of change. And of course, we're going to acknowledge, you know, time has passed and status quo is kind of an element with the whole Anna story. And of course, we're going to do a funny version of that with Olaf's story. I think what we're also saying, maybe not as well as we could have, but what we're saying is like Olaf is kind of the kid of the group, and he's also kind of going through a transitional phase, but he's voicing a lot funnier than we might be able to. At least that the intent. And it's like one of my favorite things, Olaf, that way I think we've explored best. We explored it best in Olaf's Frozen Adventures. The idea Olaf is kind of the child of kind of like he's kind of child of Elsa and Anna kind of together almost, in the sense of he's kind of the child of like the creativity and the childhood glee that they had, and it's kind of in a sense he's kind of the kid of that dynamic, and they very much care for him in a very maternal way. So Olaf is kind of the kid in that situation. Again, that's the best time we've ever kind of represented that. Here, maybe not so much.
Right. And I mean, I don't want to harp on the comic relief moments that just didn't land with me on Olaf. It just, there were a lot of them that didn't. I just kind of like, I don't know, I just kind of found him grating throughout a lot of it. There's a few moments that were really laugh out loud funny for sure, but a lot of it was just kind of like, it felt forced. It felt like there were a lot of gags here that just felt like they didn't even need to be there.
Did you tell me, I just gotta know one thing. Did you not like the Samantha joke?
It was okay. I didn't go nuts for it like some people are. Right. I don't know.
All right, so
I mean, to be honest with you, I felt like a lot of the Olaf stuff was kind of just like, it almost felt like Josh Gad improv.
It quite possibly could have been.
And I'm saying, like, Josh Gad is no... I mean, I like Josh Gad. I'm not going to say I love Josh Gad, but I like Josh Gad. He's a nice man. But he's no Robin Williams when it comes to improv, man. So I don't know. A lot of the Olaf humor just kind of felt a little lol random to me. But again, the kids these days love their lol random humor, so maybe I'm just the curmudgeon-y old man on the balcony.
Yeah. Anyway, so I gotta tell you, I think the best example of what they're going for with the whole growing, maturing theme was Olaf is kind of processing some more complex emotions than what he's used to, with anger and his own mortality in a sense. Now, mind you, with the mortality thing, so of course once he gets dusted, which again I do like that he gets dusted. If any way he's going to go out, dusting's pretty kind of fun. It's like we'd already did kind of the melting thing, but again the same thing we did with the melting thing is we undo it here. Now again. Had it been for keeps, I would have respected the heck out of it. But honestly, not for a moment did I think they weren't going to bring him back. Not for like the marketability factor. It's a logic factor. Well, if Elsa survives, as we know she's going to.
No, I understand that.
Why on earth couldn't she fix? Why on earth couldn't she put him back together? It's like the Frosty rules, man. It's a little, like the little wind kisses the puddle, it'll be fine.
I hear you.
All right, so let's talk about Kristoff and Sven. Kristoff and Sven.
Okay. I'm so mixed on this because these guys have by far the laziest plot in the movie. It's literally ripped straight out of Rescuers Down Under. But by the same time, Dragon, I feel like these two are probably, like, to me, the most just straight up entertaining elements of the movie. I don't know. I really thought that they went further with the reindeer talking than they did in the first movie, and I thought that worked well. But again, the thing holding it back is that really it's just kind of the same joke repeated over and over again of the trying to propose thing. That's hammered into the ground a little bit. But I mean, overall with Kristoff, though, I will say that I think Sven was honestly my favorite part of this whole film. I thought the animation on him was just really spot on. I don't know. And I liked all the stuff we got with the herd of reindeer, too. That was cool.
Oh yeah, so I think we definitely used the passage of time, to kind of gestate, justify the proposal. Okay, it's not the first day they met. She can marry this man finally, but he has to propose first. We're not going to get letters. Okay.
We're not going to go with the Aladdin logic.
Oh, no. So, but I love we also gave him an actual song this time around, which was nice. We gave Christoph an actual song. We didn't
Yeah,
just give him
let's talk about that. I mean,
We'll
we'll
get
build
there.
to the song. We'll build to the song. I
You're
just
right.
want to say that song is probably like my favorite scene in the whole film. Honestly, I love it the more I think about
I
it.
think it's one of my buddies I saw with he went nuts for that scene. I thought it was hysterical. I didn't think he was going to live through it. He was laughing that hard at it. But I liked honestly. I like the couple's dynamic between Anna and Crystal. My favorite little bit. I love it.
I don't think it's bad at all. Like I said, my only issue with it is that it's literally Rescuers Down Under.
No, and here's the thing.
Without the Australian mouse.
It's a very cliche proposal subplot. I swear to you, one of these days, you know what I'd love to see? One of these days, I want to see a movie
that does the subplot, but when he does finally propose, it's a no.
Well, no, it's not at all. It was no.
Oh, okay.
No, what I want to see is okay. So we do the thing where we get a movie where we have the marriage proposal subplot, but it goes off without a hitch halfway through. As in, okay, maybe he stumbles the first time. You think, oh god, it's gonna be one of these again.
Right.
Or my buddy literally called the movie. I don't blame him because I was thinking
maybe
the same thing.
Ryan Johnson can direct that movie because it would subvert our expectations.
My buddy was gonna whisper to me like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be he won't be able to propose to the end of the movie." And I was thinking, yeah, the same thing. He won't be able to propose to the end of the movie. So the way the gag goes, I mean, I'll be impressed if they do the thing I'm talking about right now. Like, what if he proposed again? Initially, he stumbles in the middle. It's like, "Hey, will you marry me?" She says, "Yes," and we're like, "Okay, we're done with that. Awesome." But no, never gonna happen. Anywho, I'm talking about with the couples. Now, you know what? The cutest little bit for me with their relationship for me was when they're in the wagon, which is a callback to when they met in Frozen in the sleigh. And Anna, basically Elsa and Olaf are asleep, and it's like, so everyone's asleep. She wants to get romantic with her man. That's adorable. Like she's making kissy face, and he's like going for the proposal. I thought that was the cutest bit of animation I saw in the movie. It's like, oh man, that is nice. Anyway. But unfortunately, Christoph kind of kick him out of the story. But he comes back for the climax. At least he's not just like on the sidelines of the
whole thing. I think him being ridden out of the story bothers people. Like that's one of the things that doesn't bother me that I've seen bother other people. Just because simply I don't really think there was a lot for him to do in that section of the movie that he is ridden out of. So I get why they did write him out. But I don't know. I mean, I do think that he is very memorable for the time that he is there. So
yeah. All right, the rest of these guys should go by rather quickly. A few of our new guys. Let's talk about Sterling K. Brown's character, Lieutenant Mateus, I believe it is.
I mean, I wish this guy had a lot more screen time than he does, but he's got the blueprints of a really good character.
He does, because I wanted to see more of this guy. He exuded credibility and intrigue. I wanted to know more about this guy.
With a little bit of humor with the
yes!
stuff.
That's what I'm saying. I was so into this guy. Okay, yes, please. I want to see more of this character. And also, we did a thing where, Ornata's about, we gotta destroy the dam. He's like, okay, basically, he's not putting up an argument. He's not putting up, like, we can't do it. We're not gonna do a stupid thing where she has to fight him to get to the
right.
The dam. It's like, okay, he's down for it, man. Awesome.
I was actually, when he was first introduced, I was kind of wondering if he was going to be the villain. Honestly.
Yeah, similar. Yeah,
villain.
I'm saying I love the relationship he has with I love the connect to the girls, where he was the bodyguard to their father when he was a prince. I thought that was great. He's trapped. It has the whole thing where he's been trapped in the forest for many. He was the only character I really cared about in this whole like forest situation. We're like, oh man, this guy, he doesn't know he's been trapped here all this time. And
yeah.
And everything. I thought that was again very interesting. I wanted so much more of this guy. That's anyway. So poor Sterling K. Brown, but he was fantastic in the little bits that he did have, though. All right. So like overall, the Northuldra tribe, basically the kind of the woodland guys, the forest people.
I mean, who's ever going to forget the iconic Disney character Ryder?
So this really does tick me off. The fact of all the names, guys, you literally had tangled characters in the first Frozen movie. You couldn't have come up with any other name.
Do you get it? He rides reindeers, Dragon. That's why he's named Ryder.
I did like the fact, bear in mind, I've seen him in a show recently, it really dazzled me. That's why I was kind of picked up on it. Jason Ritter played that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's really good in raising Dion, folks. Anyway,
The girl was useless. I was baffled by her.
you mean
I
honey?
literally think the only reason she even exists is for the shipping with Elsa.
Yeah. Well, again, that's a whole.
It's just
Everyone.
like, hey, we're not gonna give Elsa a full blown girlfriend, but we'll give her a female character that she connects with. Hey,
Yeah,
I
for all of
honestly
2
feel
seconds.
like it was just a Reddit, like it was just for the internet people. I don't know. It really like because that character literally has nothing to do, literally nothing. Like as much as we joke around about Ryder, at least Ryder like contributes to Kristoff's arc.
Does he though? Here's the thing: they both have one bit, and both bits are kind of pointless.
All
Okay,
right.
his bit, Ryder's bit, is like, "Hey, proposal," which again, part of
Well,
the
no, but I'm
course.
saying with Ryder, at least he contributes to like sending Kristoff on the mission to go, fetch the reindeer that
Right,
ultimately went
right.
the movie.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Well, again, I guess on the flip side there, I keep here's it's, again we have a Ryder. We also have like another honey something. Where of course I'm thinking honey lemon. Which, by the
Right.
way, there is. I don't know if did you notice the big Euro 6 Easter egg we had in this movie? There, Baymax is in the movie.
The what now?
Baymax is in the movie. He's an Easter egg.
Is he an ice sculpture?
Yeah, in the beginning when they're playing with the little snow dolls, he's one of the
Oh
snow
no, I
dolls.
did not notice that.
Anyway,
That's cool.
so yeah. So let's see. So Honey Marin, I think her name is. That's the one you're talking about. The Honey Marin's like,
Oh
hey,
yeah,
look.
you're right. That is like what these two. I'm sorry, they're literally two of the most useless side characters we've had in a while for Disney movie.
So Honey Marin's literally is like, hey, look at the symbols here, which again, the same symbols, if you really looked at it, are exactly the same we saw in the icicle. So basically, someone's say, oh, look, similar symbols. What do you know?
Man,
Of
it's
course,
just
yeah.
go ahead.
And they have, then the last one you have is Yelena. And of course, Yelena is just like this, basically, we don't know if we can trust these Arendellians. Oh boy. And then basically, okay, Kristoff has an awkward proposal moment.
Villain, I thought I could see.
And then we had like an awkward proposal moment, and that's about all she's got.
All right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, really, and Dragon, it's coming off the heels of Toy Story 4, all right?
Yeah, that's not helping either.
Where it's like Toy Story 4, 4 movies into this franchise, we're still introducing
Do kaboom.
not one, but multiple new characters who are just as memorable as anyone who's ever been in the franchise.
At least 5.
Yeah, I mean, god damn. Anyway,
so I mean, again, like basically kind of our very our tribe here, very Nordic. Again, the idea is that they're connected to the magic within nature and the magic by proxy connect to the Elsa stuff. But again, it doesn't connect, folks. It doesn't connect.
By that token, though, I agree with you. It doesn't really hold a lot of water. I will say, though, that I think probably my favorite moment in the whole movie was when the tribe's doing the chant.
And that's what I'm talking about to you. Here's the thing. That's great. That's cool. And again, the Nordic stuff's cool. But I think here's what I'm missing, though. Why do we have a tribe?
What do you mean?
Like, why are they like? Why do we have forest dwelling people?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying I'm missing the history lesson here. I'm getting this is cool, but where do they come from?
Like I assume they're indigenous.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm assuming. Okay, so did we break off and then half of those people went to form Arendelle? That's what I'm saying. We're missing a little bit of. Like, why are there 2 warring sections of people? Like, again, so are just literally 2 sections of like there's Arendelle and then there's like the Enchanted Forest section, literally, or is it the same area?
Yeah, you got me, Dragon. I mean, I got to admit, with this movie and the plot, I just kind of like it just kind of became white noise for me about halfway through. I just kind of phased out.
All right. Okay, so let's. No, Cora, we already mentioned this in the other thing. I'll make a footnote of it here. Something bugs me. much as I love Alfred Molina, unfortunately, the king of Arendelle, when we had him the start of this movie, basically gave us the kind of the lowdown, the story of the movie, story in the loose sense of the word, mind you, but the story of the movie. He replaced poor Maurice LaMarche, who's something symptomatic of that's kind of going on in the industry where for some reason we don't employ the voice actors on the big screen because we need big names. And I love Alfred Molina. The only reason I can't fully complain about Alfred Molina is because
like I love Alfred Molina, but is Alfred Molina really a name that's going to draw the kids to the audience?
Well, the kids have seen Spider-Man.
Have they though? I mean, we're getting to a point where it's like I wouldn't be surprised if there's kids growing up that don't even know about the older Spider-Man movies.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Regardless, that's the thing. Molina, though, again, here's the thing. I think it'd be more. I think more people would be complaining about it and be making more of a stink if we had like if we had an inferior actor who didn't do a good job. And we say, why didn't they just keep poor old Maurice LaMarche? He did such a. He was he's a fine actor. He's done good stuff, and it was basically the same amount of screen time.
In the Disney parks where they replaced Corey Burton for some inexplicable reason.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, again, I'm not complaining about Milan. Milan did do a good job, but again, it's one scene. It's one really good scene. But again, Maurice LaMarche had the same thing. He had a solid scene in the other one, so I'm just saying it's a systematic problem. Again, unfortunately, it keeps on going. We put him in the movies recently. I don't understand why they felt the need to do it now. Like, for example, Evan Rachel Wood plays the Queen, which makes sense because she has the songs. She has that, she tells them the story as well, cues things up. First movie, she had one line, literally one line, not like a whole scene. There's one line that was voiced by Jennifer Lee, one of the directors. Makes sense. You want to get Rachel Wood in there. Makes sense. Anyway. Okay, so let's get musical, man.
Right. So yeah, All Is Found is, I don't know, man. I don't think there's anything too special about this one.
It's basically it's the foreshadow lullaby. Where the interesting thing I will admit though, on the kind of noodling it after a while, is that it's more for Anna. When again, it's like one of the lyrics like "all is lost," and that's of course what kind of brings on to her thing later in the movie. And with Elsa, it's about finding the answers. And again, that's the song that brings mother and daughter together. So it's kind of neat in that regard on the rewatch, I guess, or the re-listen.
I guess I just think melodically it doesn't really do much for me.
And you're right.
All right. So this is a song I've heard people complaining about, but I gotta say it's just the right amount of pop cheese that I kind of like it. Some things never change.
Now, you know me, this essentially is our equivalent to First Time in Forever, and that is one of my favorite songs from Frozen, so this does not necessarily, it doesn't beat that out by any stretch, but it's basically this one's fine. It's a fine song. I liked
it a lot because I thought it was a really efficient way to kind of get up to speed on where all the characters for one thing.
As I'm saying, it serves the role well. It does what it needs to do.
Another thing, it's just catchy.
Here's the thing. I think the next one I think is a lot catchier.
Okay. Let's talk about the next one. Okay, so Dragon, you know how when Let It Go came out, everyone thought that the Demi Lovato version was going to be the big radio version, but then the radio just kind of took over with the Idina Menzel version?
Yeah.
Okay, honestly, I like the Idina Menzel version of this song. I gotta tell you, though, the Panic at the Disco version of this song fucking slaps. Oh my god, it's so good. So good. Dragon, I'm a Panic at the Disco fan from back in the day. I haven't liked anything they've done in a while, but I really like their first two albums. And man, I don't know. There's something about the way that Brendan Urie just delivers those power vocals on that chorus that really I think that it's an even better rendition than an Idina Menzel gives.
Well, regardless, Into the Unknown, this is my favorite song in the movie here. I love this one.
I mean, it is clearly the Let It Go of the movie, I think.
Pretty much. Basically, there's this, and there's kind of a continuation layer that maybe is the only other Let It Go contender, but I love this one.
We'll get to that.
That's what I'm saying. The point is, like, I love the whole device. I love the logic behind it. I love the idea that...
That whole thing with the reprises of the melody that the voice is singing was that was so good.
Some artist by the name of Aurora does that little call there. And again, it's so darn catchy. I love that we're acknowledging the sound. Essentially, we're acknowledging the sound effect from the trailer too, which is hysterical when you really think about it. It's like literally that. Remember when you watch that first Frozen 2 trailer? It's like the whole you hear the little call, and then Elsa's running through the waves.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny that we did that. It's
my complaint with the song is it's a really good song. I just think visually it doesn't do a whole lot.
Well, it ends with her doing all the crystals in the sky and everything.
And that's cool. And that's cool. But I'm just saying, like, visually, Let It Go had a really great build to it. You know, and Let It Go, pretty much every shot in that song is iconic.
They had the light show with this one. Remember, she's in the darkness and you're doing all like little fireworks.
You're not wrong, Dragon. There's some good stuff with it. I'm just saying to me, it takes we're meandering a little bit with the visuals before we get to that stuff.
Sure.
Like, it just kind of feels like there's a lot of just kind of like walking around and, you know, pacing in the snow. And then kind of in the last third of the song, that's where visually it gets really interesting. I know. I just think Let It Go is just kind of like, I think this song and Let It Go, I think Let It Go is maybe a little bit better of a song. But they're kind of on an even playing field in terms of the actual songwriting. But visually, I just think Let It Go is just composed a lot better. I don't know.
Sure, but yeah, I do like, you know, this whole idea of, like, you know, she's saying she won't answer the call, but she's drawn to it. She's drawn to the siren's call as the song goes on. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
let's get to arguably the worst song in the franchise.
I would severely disagree with that.
I honestly think that Fixer Upper might be more pointless than this song. Well, I don't know. There's an argument to be made for that, but I definitely think Fixer Upper is more catchy than this.
Well, first of all, I will take the stance that look, Fixer Upper is worse by comparison. Not a terrible. As you said, it's a little catchy. It's not a bad song. It's just not out of that movie. It's definitely the weak link in the chain. No question.
Dragon, the When I Am Older song just kind of like it. Kind of pretty much is reflective of everything I don't like about this movie. I think it's the biggest retread of a song that we've seen in this movie. It's even more of a retread than Into the Unknown is for Let It Go. I mean, this is clearly just like, hey guys, you like In Summer? Well, we're doing In Summer again.
Now, of course, I love
In Summer had a really, really relatable message to it, and this song just doesn't. This song's message is really confused and muddled.
I'll agree with you in the sense of it is indicative of that point, but that's like basically when I'm older is not is nowhere near as clever as In Summer. Yes, you're right. I think it's a fun song though. I think it's just like kind of an excuse for, hey, let's give Olaf a song. It's addressing the impending danger of
an excuse to give Olaf a song though. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, I'm basically just taking it for what it is. It's kind of a jaunty tune in a scary situation. Like it's it's more of like kind of a visual gag where it's like, hey, Olaf's surrounded by impending danger. He's not picking up on it. It's like something you would never have been able to get away with in the first movie. You can only get away with now. We've built in some credibility with the snowman. So look, is it ill-timed?
Yeah, the meta context of this song makes me laugh that you know, all the other like 30-year-old film journalists watching this movie as grown-ass adult men are making the joke that it's like, okay, I'm older, and the plot to this movie still doesn't make sense.
Right. Let's talk about what everyone's what the real favorite song in the movie is.
This is absolutely the fan favorite. So Disney thought that fucking Into the Unknown was going to be the fan favorite song, but this is absolutely going to be the fan favorite song. I mean, I don't think this is going to be like a big radio hit like Let It Go was by any means, but I think this is absolutely going to be the fan favorite.
However, if there were any more, ironically though, if any song were to become a radio hit, we were living in a different era, you know, without a second's hesitation, this one would be it.
Okay, I think my favorite part of this is just how all the reindeer just work into the song.
It was Lost in the Woods. God, it's
great. Dragon, this was definitely the point of the movie where I was enjoying myself the most. This was probably the high point.
I remember at the start of the song, I had like a moment of, oh no, this could go either way. I was worried for it. I was like, oh god, I hope the crowd.
Okay, You know, the funny thing though is like Jonathan Groff, he is a big Broadway guy, and everyone complained about him not getting a song in the first one. So,
Well, they amended that in this one, which is
well, I mean,
good.
he has a song in the
You
first
know
one,
what I mean? He has, yeah, it's a nice little song, but it's like a real.
little
He
ditty.
gets a song with a little S in the first one. Now it's like it's a song, man. He gets a song.
Yeah.
Give that man a song in his heart, and he does. But yeah, this one's it's a standout. It's just more, especially in the staging. Too. The staging is fantastic. Basically, it's a hysterical parody of every terrible pop song ad you've ever seen. You know what I'm talking about? The ones that are on the radio. Sorry, not the ones that are like. Remember when the old TV commercials? Like Bruce Almighty had a great gag with this. You know, but they would do like the whole. They have all the CD, all the song, all the track listings, while you have like all the crappy background stuff of the guy singing his song, and then of course you have like sing with the head. The base of the head things will crack. I lost it. The head thing.
Rose has its thorn.
It's just like, oh god, it's so perfect in what they're parodying here, and they get it so wonderfully it's wonderfully self-aware. It's fantastic. Just building in all the over-the-top ridiculous tropes, and it's awesome.
Good stuff.
Okay, so Show Yourself. This is more of a companion piece song. It's good, but again, it's more of like kind of the next verse of Into the Unknown, if you're really thinking about it.
I mean, I guess so. To me, it's just kind of like, hey, we can have multiple Let It Goes.
Yeah, this one, I'll bet you this. I'll bet you they intended Show Yourself to be the one you could actually sing along to, or the other one you have to learn Into the Unknown. This one's this is like I think the lyrics are a little bit more clear on this one. I'm not sure.
I don't know about the thing about that is that I like how Into the Unknown, like I just said, I think Into the Unknown, absolutely, like if you just listen to the Panic at the Disco version of Into the Unknown without any context, it still is totally like a banger rock song. So that's what I appreciate about Into the Unknown. I feel like it's a song much like Let It Go that can be applied not just in the context of the movie. There's a lot of complexity to the lyrics there. What I don't like about Show Yourself is that it is very much just kind of like Elsa belting out the plot. At this point, I was just like, I love Idina Menzel as much as the next guy, but I was just kind of like, all right, I'm kind of sick of the Idina Menzel power vocals at this point.
Less Idina Menzel, more Adele Dazeem then.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so but I do like the whole component of the whole reunion between mother and daughter element of this song. That's kind of cool. Like you have like literally her and Evan Rachel Wood kind of singing to each other. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's I guess.
I like the emotion within like the whole build with she's met the other side of the voice at the whole she's finally met not Aurora but the actual voice.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay.
Next right thing.
Dragon, honestly, I don't even really remember the melody of this thing. I thought this song was pretty damn forgettable.
So I want to talk about the music overall in proxy of this. So I feel did you notice that we just fired into most of the songs at the start of the movie? Did you notice that?
What do you mean?
When we start, okay, so we start with all is found, like that's then the lullaby. When after we get kind of our kind of the king telling a story there, then we instantly spring to kind of our status quo builder of some things never change, and then very much when now the movie starts.
They're literally following the format of the first movie with that one. Like Let It Go happens at the midway point of the film, and that's the second to last song in the film.
Now, to be fair, though, this is what I'm saying. Though, Let It Go is, I think there's more space in between the first two songs than there is to Let It Go. And in this case, I feel like I'm saying it's like the night after some things never change. It's okay. It's Into the Unknown. I think I don't know. That feels. I think it was a lot closer than it was with the first one we had those three songs.
Would have had more of an impact, I feel, if there was more of a build up to it. I agree with you there.
What I'm saying, it feels like we're just jammed. Basically, when you have like an audience, like kind of like our crowd, when there's like, man, there's a lot of songs free because that's where you lose a musical audience. It's like I want a movie before I want a musical. Sometimes you're gonna get that. Or I want some movie before we fire right into the music. Because yes, I'm going to appreciate the music, I'm sure, but I don't want to just like music. I want some music space. And honestly, out of all the songs, the one that felt the most like everyone, I think, can make an argument for. Well, we kind of need it here, and it's like okay. Well, at the end of the day, even if you're like okay, it's a little off. It's awfully close to the last musical number we got. The one that feels the most tacked on in that regard is probably the next right thing. That do we really need a song at this point, at this stage? It just feels
I
like
honestly feel like it was literally just put in there to give Anna a song in this movie.
that's the thing. It just feels like
The only reason this song exists.
yeah, it's basically we're just giving voice there. She's sad right now, so she's singing that she's sad. Okay.
So sad. Dragon, you know what? I am going to redact the point I made on our first reactions. I do not think that this is a better soundtrack than the first movie, not by a long shot.
See, I knew. Let's see, I swear to God, when you said on the other podcast I was wearing, does he really mean that? But I didn't say that.
Nah, I mean, I feel like I was maybe kind of like riding a high of like, no, there's no way. They're like across the board. I don't even know why I said that. Like across the board, the songs in this movie are worse.
That's what I'm saying. For me, it's always like I love Into the Unknown, and again, I think the standout, as I mentioned, the fan favorite is going to be Lost in the Woods, and I don't. It's not a favorite, but I don't mind when I'm older. That's what I'm saying. Like to me, Into the Unknown is the big standout. It's a real legit standout, and then you have your comedy standout with Lost in the Woods.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, Dragon, I feel like the reason I was so high on the music on my first reaction was simply because I really liked the way that they mixed the Aurora vocals into a number of the songs. I thought that was really creative.
Yeah.
But yeah, just in terms of the songwriting and placement and everything, this is I mean, and I don't think the original Frozen has a perfect placement of songs either. Like it really bothers me that the last song is Fix It Upper. And like I don't know, like, but still I don't know.
All right. So let's talk some animation. Let's light the candle, man.
God. All right. I mean, as expected, I feel like the environments and everything are gorgeous in this movie. Disney just keeps topping itself with water animation.
Yes.
All the ice stuff looks really good. All the stuff with the elementals looks really good.
So let's break down the spirits here. So, of course, one, I feel. So, I'm sorry. So, with so the little salamander guy, he's the fire spirit, little salamander fire spirit guy. He is.
You like toys? You want to give us money?
Oh, good.
Every time that salamander was on screen, that's all I could think of, Dragon. That thing is the most toy-genic thing that Disney's made in a while.
That's a fair point.
Toy-genic things. Like, I like Baby Yoda, I like Baby Groot, but I don't know. I think the salamander was a step too far. I think maybe the reason it was a step too far is that I just don't feel like the design vibed with Elsa's character at all.
I don't know. Here's the I felt I was suckered. Maybe I was suckered into it. I don't know. I melted it. I love the ears. It's gonna sound so ridiculous. Bear in mind, it's like oh, it's so cute. Now Elsa's got a little pet. Isn't that adorable?
That's exactly what I don't like about it. That's exactly what I don't like about it.
I think we're gonna be on different sides.
What happened to the whole like fucking Dwayne the Rock Johnson lecturing us about animal sidekicks, Dragon? What happened to that?
It's adorable. It creates fires. She puts them out. They've got a match. They're a perfect match. I don't know. That was cute.
Oh, it's a perfect match.
No, it's cute.
Because you have to fucking buy the little girl the plush and the dress. That's why it's the perfect match.
Look, is it obviously sidekick fodder? Sure. Is it adorable though? Come on, tell me it's not adorable. That's what I'm saying.
Not adorable.
That's what I'm saying.
But
you know what? Seriously, Elsa has so little when you look at these movies. She gets a little adorable little kind of pet friend now. That's nice.
Well, like I said, I don't think that Elsa's the character that needs an animal sidekick. That's what bothers me.
One could argue therapy pet.
Right.
Anyway, Regardless, look, he's not. There's some distance there too, because he's a fire spirit. But anyway, he has a lot of camaraderie there. It's kind of like pet, but not pet. There's some wiggle room there. It's not full on animal sidekick, but again, kind of animal plot convenience, but adorable.
Oh, it's full on animal sidekick. Come on now, come on.
I'm saying pretty much, yeah. Look, I'm gonna go 85 on that one.
All right, whatever.
Anyway. So let's see. So okay. So basically the mountain. I like to call them the mountain trolls, but essentially the earth spirit guys, the earth elemental guys, the giant the giant mountain troll guys. They looked fantastic, and apparently they're really on the money in Norway. I have a buddy who hails from Norway, and he went there recently. So he was blown away by them. It was his favorite thing in the movie. Like, oh god, it's so on the money. They got those guys fantastically on the money. Apparently.
Nice. Yeah, I like them a lot too, and I feel like they added a sense of definitely a sense of danger to the action scenes.
The scale was phenomenal. That's my favorite part of the animation, the scale. Like, I love that scene where we're drifting in the water.
Movie, honestly, like the waves and stuff like that. It was on point, to be sure.
I just love how the surprise of it all, like something that big, and so you're drifting in, like you're drifting on the water, and you realize, oh god, we're surrounded by these giant mountain trolls. Oh god, don't say anything. That's fantastic. Let's see.
Video game Shadow of the Colossus.
No,
I'm just I know you're not aware of it. I'm just saying it does, like, I know you're not a gamer. I'm just saying it for prosperity's sake. It does remind me of that game, but.
Yeah. Of course, the leaves and basically in general, the whole fall angle, that looks really good. Again, it makes sense. We're going to kind of change things up and going to again thematically change. I'm not saying the thematicism truly landed, but the intent was good.
Yeah,
with the whole gale and everything, the wind effects. It's kind of nice. Very difficult, I'd imagine, especially with the interaction of wind on everything else. Nook, the water spirits. That's basically the water horse of it all. The water horse is I thought was really neat. And of course, how we later on we kind of materialize the water horse, and we kind of like basically when Elsa's basically again being the whole bridge of it all, she can interact with these guys and kind of like she puts out the fire. She, in all fairness, she doesn't do anything with the mountain guys, but it is what it is. Regardless, she can ride the horse, she can make it solid, she can tame the animal. It's really neat looking.
Yeah, I think the only unfortunate thing with it is that it kind of leads to a huge Deus Ex Machina.
Well, all right, with the whole like saving Arendelle thing. Right?
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I agree with you. Like visually, like I love the struggle that she has to get on the horse. It kind of reminds me of a certain scene in The Mandalorian episode 2, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Yes. It's not really. I'm sorry. Go on.
Yeah, but like I said, I feel like the only unfortunate thing with a horse is that it kind of, there's a lot of interesting stuff with it. I'm sure it's pretty accurate to Norwegian culture as well, but it does just kind of come off like it just kind of has a plot device sort of feel to it at the end.
Yeah, but remember, we built up like the terror of that thing. It was like chasing Olaf and everything. Like it just like there's a minute. It's like it's like the mare. It's like the giant horse you don't mess with. There's something there. Something kind of like there's some foreboding, but then can be. Yeah.
What's the mare?
Oh, it's like one of the It's like I thought it was like another name for a horse. Like don't you call it like a mare or like a there's like a nightmare. One could say like a dark horse or something.
I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry.
All right, never mind.
All right, my bad. I didn't need to. Anyways.
Okay. Regardless, let's see. What was I? Oh yes, ice powers. Let's talk about Elsa's ice powers a little bit more specifically here. So I love the little details of the animation. If you notice, Elsa's they blended fabric and powers with her. So now when she creates clothes, she's wearing like a t-shirt thing, and for the movie, for when she's diving into the waves, she's like removed like the coat, and the undershirt that she's wearing essentially it's frosted to her. That's what she's wearing. She's wearing frost. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. Dragon, just visually, I feel like everything with the ice powers looks really cool. I'm not going to argue with you there. I just think there's kind of an internal logic to it, that just kind of goes overboard.
What do you mean, like internal logic? What's breaking down logic-wise for you?
It really didn't bother you that like suddenly we're going from just like being able to make like snowmen and crystals and stuff to now we're doing stuff where it's like the ice powers like represent like I'm saying the tableaus looked really cool. I just did not understand how they worked within the context of what we already knew about her powers. They came out of butt fuck nowhere to me.
Well, again, it was the whole bridge thing, taken over. It's how she knew the patterns by instinct. But again, she's kind of created. Man, she's being stronger.
I just think to me, it just kind of came, like I said, it just they didn't. That's kind of an inherent flaw with the movies, that the movies just really trying to do too much, and that's just one of the things that's throwing at you.
Well, I do love in the intro. I love the idea she could like make all these items, like she's making action figures out of snow when she's like that whole scene she's playing with Anna at the start as kids. I thought that was precious and that was really inventive with the powers. And later on, she's like making. There's a really PC joke. I don't know if you noticed it, where the kids are coming to her in the present day, and she's she's making like action figures and stuff like dolls, and the little girl, and basically this little girl comes up, she whispers in her, and she makes her a sextant, like kind of like an old telescope sort of thing. And oh yeah, not every girl needs a doll, boys and girls. Not every girl wants a doll. We're making a point. Let's move on. Anyway, but yeah, you spoke of this earlier. I love the whole water memory device. Bit of a buy, sure, but it's cool. It's so cool.
Cool idea. Yeah, it's definitely the best contribution Olaf has to the movie.
It's like, I mean, the logic of it too, where basically she can create the little sculptures of the memories and everything. That whole thing, I love the idea that basically if water is almost like the reflection of water captures could be harnessed. Again, it's a buy, but it's a cool buy. And speaking of Olaf, I love the little detail where it's addressed really quickly with one line. I don't go all into it, but you can kind of read it visually that Olaf doesn't have a little cloud following him anymore. And the logic is that if you look at the Olaf has a pattern on him. He has snowflakes imprinted on him. That's the permafrost coating of Olaf. That's why he doesn't melt.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, little subtle details, though, nice and stuff. All right, it's we could be here all day talking about like how great the movie looks. I think we've covered the bases. I think we're all good.
All right.
Spectacular sequence in the ice cave. We read all the memories there and some reenacting moments from the first movie. We had Alan Tudyk come back as Duke of Wesselton and all that sort of stuff. The point is, that was probably one of the best looking scenes. If I'm being frank with the ice powers, it looked great.
It's a good looking scene, Dragon, but I honestly felt like. Between that scene and the Olaf recap scene, again, two scenes that on their own are really good. I just kind of felt like a sense of desperation of like, hey guys, remember the first movie? I don't know. Like I said, just on their own, they're good scenes, just maybe a little bit too much like I forget what review Nostalgia Critic does the whole like first movie running gag, but I kind of got a little bit of that there.
All right, that's all I got.
All right, so I am actually proud of ourselves that we managed to get this review in under the runtime of this film, Dragon.
Yeah.
So final thoughts.
Final thoughts for me. Look, I do like this movie, and I just don't love it as much as I hoped at the end of the day. It's really what it is. I like it. I don't love it as much as I was hoping going into it. If only the story hit the mark more, I think that might have helped a lot. But I mean, this film, it was still, I want to make clear, this film still was on brand. Entertaining. It was entertaining. I do voice concerns in how much story there is left if we were to continue if we're going to continue, like kind of like the last thread that we really have kind of set up here is like, okay, there's going to be a wedding. Obviously, as Christoph did propose to Anna. So basically, if they're going to do another one, I would presume there's going to be a wedding in there, and basically
Christoph's father, who's like a wayward, like charming con artist.
Oh, so we're doing every trip now, apparently.
Yeah.
So now his father's William Shatner. Okay. Anyway, that's for the psych fans out there. But anyway, my point is that's like it's like I don't think there's truly again I've read a few of the Frozen comics and the Frozen Times, and basically it's kind of what we have with this movie is that we just keep going to the Nordic culture and basically just kind of things happen, nothing really substantial happens, nothing really big happens, and we tried something big here, but again it was something kind of retroactive and big, which I think led to a lot of kind of muddled stuff. And that's what I'm saying. Like I think logically, I don't think we should do another one, but there absolutely is going to be another one. Look at this movie's going to make tons and tons of money. Got to have money, and that's the thing. So I would be trepidatious. I have always concerns going forward with this. I'm unsure. At the end of the day, with this movie, with this one specifically, I'm unsure if it was an overconfidence or an insecurity of, I don't know how, like, we're bigger than God right now, Frozen. Look at all these snowmen we're selling, man. Look, we got a Christmas special, man. A Christmas special. Who's gonna shoot us down? Let's go nuts for it, man. No one's gonna say we're wrong, and no one did say we were wrong. We were wrong until it came out. Or it was just an insecurity of, you know what, we have a direction we want to go in, but we need to downplay, just maybe play more towards the kids, like not worry so much about like, you know, striking the landing, or like, you know what, it works. Doesn't work as well as it should, but it works, so we're going to be good. And for basically, it in name brand alone will carry us the rest of the way. So I don't know, you know, which way it kind of landed on that one, but it's more of a, you know, it's definitely they made a film to be proud of, just not as much as the first one. You know, they made a film they can be proud in the sense of, you know what, it's another movie we didn't even expect to get another movie. It's you know, it's fun. I think people are going to enjoy this. It's definitely going to continue in the brand, and you know, we have like, you know, the other supplemental stuff, you know, working there as well. But you know, if it did not land the mark at all as much as the first movie did, and that's very apparent. And it's not just like the classic sequel thing of, oh, the first one's better than the original. I mean, that is true here, absolutely, but it's a sense of, you know, they could have done a little better in the story department. It's very apparent, and I shouldn't be seeing that in the first time I see the movie. But you know what? I'd still go back to it just for the fun and the like the Olaf recap and Frozen of it all, just for the fun of it all.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I will say, Dragon, I was crazy about this movie's teaser trailer with Elsa and the waves and everything. I loved that. I just thought it was like really, really iconic, striking Disney imagery. And I really feel like it's a shame that we didn't get a better movie out of that. It really is, because kind of, actually, now that I think about it, Pink Pearl's point from earlier, like, if anything, the biggest comparison with Cars 3 is that both Cars 3 and this movie had really compelling teaser trailers. Cars 3, of course, had the photorealistic scene of Lightning McQueen crashing.
That's still ingenious marketing, that teaser.
It is. And then this one with Elsa and the waves was just like an instantly iconic, memorable image. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like with this one, Dragon, I feel like you're right. It's like, it's a mix of like, it's a weird combination of being like overly confident in terms of like, okay, we're going to really go balls to the walls with the story here and go like, you know, introduce all these different threads and layers to the story. But by the same point, there's definitely a sense of unconfidence, because it's like, okay, we got to have our In Summer, we got to have our Let It Go, we got to give Anna a song. You know, it's like very much a movie that kind of takes the check boxes, you know, checks the boxes. So really what we have is just kind of like a sequel where, Dragon, I will agree with you. I mean, I personally, for me, I feel like, again, I don't mean to bring this up because I know it's a point of contention for you, but I do think this is a better sequel than Incredibles 2, just because I feel like Incredibles 2 had some good moments in it, yes, especially on the Bob side of things, but really felt like a lot of it was very recycled. This, it's more ambitious. It's, you know, I give it a lot more credit for just thinking outside of the box with some of the stuff, but it really is just kind of a case of like all really good ingredients, but not all the ingredients coming together. That's really where I'm kind of landing on it. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching this thing with us. Thanks to Pink Pearl. And let's see, we had a couple other people in the chat here.
Olivia Brown, Trey G.
It looks like she's another defender of a guy like you, Dragon, so you didn't have to look far to find someone on the internet who agreed with your sentiment there.
Well, thank you. And
so yeah, thank you guys. Hope we didn't piss off too many Frozen fans. And we'll see you on the next one. Have a good day.